The prevailing notion is that accumulating wealth hinges on hoarding funds, relentless toil, and a self-serving disposition. However, experience demonstrably refutes this. The most profound growth is achieved by those who actively facilitate the advancement of others. The genuine key to affluence lies in fostering the prosperity of those around you. While this may strike some as counterintuitive, it is, in fact, the authentic mechanism by which success operates. When someone resolves to contribute to another's growth, whether it be a client, a partner, or a colleague, the universe reciprocates. Doors swing open, opportunities materialize, and outcomes manifest with greater ease. Life bestows its rewards upon those who create value, impart their knowledge, and aspire to witness others' triumphs. Wealth acquisition is not about rivalry, it's about cultivation. It entails leveraging discipline, self-assurance, and steadfastness to foster an ecosystem where mutual prosperity prevails. This represents the trajectory of those who grasp the intrinsic essence of entrepreneurship: collaborative growth, amplified outcomes, and the dissemination of success. Only the translated text. In a quaint mercantile town, a peculiar pattern emerged. The most flourishing entrepreneurs were precisely those who invested in the growth of others. Rather than hoarding secrets, they disseminated strategies, fostered connections, and celebrated each individual's triumph as if it were their own. Time revealed that this conduct was not mere naive altruism, but rather the bedrock of an unbreakable cycle of prosperity. When one merchant aided another in increasing sales, it spurred increased activity throughout the town for all. Patrons returned, businesses expanded, and the local economy thrived. Prosperity became palpable. It served as a potent reminder that true wealth is not cultivated through isolation, but rather through collaboration. Entrepreneurship, discipline, and consistency formed the bedrock of this ecosystem, where individual success was a direct corollary to collective achievement. And the more people prospered, the more doors opened. It was as if the universe rewarded the mindset of those who understood that winning together is the only sustainable way to grow. This was the unstated secret, a kind of silent law that led those who practiced it to ever greater results. In a small neighborhood shop, one saleswoman stood out for an uncommon reason. While her colleagues bickered over commissions, she strove to understand what would truly lead the client to prosperity. She recommended only what was essential, offered sincere guidance, and delivered more than she promised. Over time, customers returned, brought friends, and entrusted her implicitly. The result? Success. But success was a consequence, not the objective. This abundance mindset has transformed the workplace. The owner, previously fixated on sales figures, began to recognize the potency of a purpose-driven team. The saleswoman evolved into a benchmark, and her dedication to service yielded outcomes that defied any sales manual. Consistency, emotional regulation, and self-assurance emerged as the unseen cornerstones that elevated a mere job into a trajectory of personal and financial advancement. The salary increased, the reputation spread, and suddenly, that small counter became a bridge to something far greater. Because in the end, when the focus is on generating genuine value, money always finds its way back. And it was precisely this principle that began to transform an entire corporate culture. In a company that began humbly, something distinctive stood out. All employees grew in unison. Every achievement was celebrated collectively, and every new outcome served as fuel for the next challenge. There, no one competed for space. Everyone learned to expand it. The culture was simple yet potent. The growth of one individual only held value when it spurred growth for all. In this environment, objectives transformed from mandates into inspirations. Leadership emerged not from hierarchy, but from example. Discipline and consistency were nurtured as daily values rather than mere corporate slogans. Instead of seeking individual accolades, each team member understood that genuine recognition lay in witnessing the collective prosperity of the group. Over time, the results began to surpass any projection. Productivity surged, the atmosphere strengthened, and the sense of belonging transformed into genuine motivation. It was as if each individual carried within them a piece of the collective dream. And in that environment, thriving ceased to be a distant objective and became an inevitable consequence. In a humble yet invigorating training center, a group convened each morning to learn collaboratively. The atmosphere was effervescent, Ideas circulated, experiences were exchanged, and every lesson blossomed into a fresh seed of prosperity. There, an age-old truth was palpable. Knowledge belongs not to those who hoard it, but to those who disseminate it. Teaching was the most profound act of generosity and concurrently the most lucrative. Each new skill shared triggered a domino effect. One salesperson improved their communication, inspiring another, who taught the next, and suddenly the collective outcome surged. What began as simple training morphed into a movement of transformation. It was entrepreneurship in its purest form, founded on the conviction that education is the art of building bridges where walls once stood. With each learning cycle, new leaders emerged, new ideas blossomed, and a burgeoning confidence took root that prosperity could indeed be taught. Knowledge, when propagated, does not diminish. It proliferates. And as more individuals acquired understanding, more tangible results materialized, substantiating the notion that true power resides not in hoarding information, but in disseminating it. It was from this movement that a novel culture was born. In an office illuminated by ideas, it was common to see scattered notes, open conversations, and knowledge being exchanged as if they were valuable currency. Whenever someone discovered a new strategy, they didn't hoard it. They called others over, explained it, and demonstrated it in practice. Over time, the environment transformed into a veritable living school, where each mind became a source of inspiration. What was once a common team transformed into a community of growth. Individuals no longer awaited directives. They actively pursued advancement. Discussions shifted from dwelling on problems to ideating solutions. Self-assurance became bolstered, emotional regulation materialized organically, and discipline was virtually infectious. What bound everyone together was not their remuneration, but a collective aspiration for daily betterment. The leadership there lacked titles but possessed purpose. There was no fear, only confidence. And gradually that culture of continuous learning began to yield results that extended far beyond the financial. Each individual who grew carried a piece of that purpose with them and imperceptibly disseminated the same growth pattern elsewhere. And thus the seed of a simple gesture began to bear fruit on a grand scale. On a dirt road leading to a flourishing valley, a group of entrepreneurs strode side by side. None of them sought to arrive first. The objective was to arrive together. Each brought a different talent. One was a visionary, another strategic, another creative. When they joined forces, progress accelerated in an almost magical fashion. Success ceased to be an individual destination and became a collective journey. With each stride, they learned that true power resided in unity. Yesterday's competitor became today's partner. Instead of erecting walls, they built bridges. It was a novel form of entrepreneurship, propelled by consistency, self-assurance, and purpose. They aided one another in growth and, imperceptibly, forged a chain of prosperity that gained strength with the passage of time. It was then that it became evident that wealth is not merely quantified by figures, but by the number of lives touched along the way. Collective growth transcends mere philosophy. It is a strategy yielding enduring outcomes. For when champions converge, there is no ceiling to their potential achievements. And it is precisely at this juncture that the narrative morphs into a silent reminder. True success is only truly complete when it is shared. Consider this. What is the point of succeeding alone if the world around you remains stagnant? True success lies not in being the sole individual to reach the summit, but in elevating others alongside you. Every person who flourishes due to your example or assistance is a testament that prosperity is a multiplier, not a prize reserved for a select few. Life rewards those who share, who teach, who inspire. Discipline, emotional control, and consistency are the keys that unlock doors that money, on its own, would never open. The secret lies in doing good intelligently, in generating tangible results, and in understanding that collective success invariably yields individual returns. Now it's your turn to act. What will you do with what you've learned here? Will you continue to hoard your knowledge, or will you begin to transform others with it? If you wish to continue growing, learning, and surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals who also think big, subscribe to the channel and enable notifications. This is where growth begins, and where your next breakthrough could be. Think like an eagle.